2, 1. Hello and welcome to Top Dice. I'm Ade, and hello, Alan.
Evening. Hello. Or
Hello,
evening when
hello.
we're recording, anyway.
It's evening, but it could be any time of the day. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever. But hello, and thank you for joining us. So, busy week again. The prelude to Games Expo.
Yes, it's all ramping up. We're
Yeah,
getting orders in to the orders in for the suppliers of the retailers and things that we work with. Orders out for all of the marketing material. Yeah, it's relentless at the moment, the prep for the show. I'm pleased to say, though, that I probably will end up working a chunk of the weekend, but on Sunday I decamp to Worcester. And then I don't have to do anything for a few days, and then we've got a setup day on Thursday of next week. Uh, so when that comes around, obviously it's four days, four pretty solid
full on.
days,
Yeah.
full on. So I'm really looking forward to having a nice weekend. The wife and daughter are coming down. We're going to have a few days together, and then I'm going to go off and do the expo thing, and they're going to spend their time trolling around the Cotswolds, and they've mentioned at least visiting Cadbury World and things like that. So which I don't want to go to because my diabetes just couldn't handle it. So
No,
it's a bad thing.
they're doing you a favour there. Look at it
Yeah.
that way.
So UK Games Expo is the 29th to the 31st of May.
And
Uh,
you're well, obviously it's GMS that's going. You're representing, and
yeah.
you're to tell people whereabouts you will be.
So GMS is going to be in Hall 3. Location is 3-844, which is about 5 yards further over from where we were last year. So if anybody was there last year and they came to see us, we've got this great big hexagonal banner hanging over the stand, and it's like 6 meters across. You can't miss it. It's a proper landmark. So come into Hall 3. As you go into Hall 3, will be slightly left of going in when you go in, and you'll see this great big banner. So that's where we are.
Right. Well, make sure that you pop through, say
You
hi,
can't
and
miss us.
take your credit card with you. That's the way to actually do.
No, I would never say that.
But I
All
can.
right, maybe I would. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be lots of great stuff in there, and I know you're going to be running several different things. I think through the across the days, aren't you? Something
Yeah, we've got
special,
some
different.
really we've got some nice things going on actually. We're hosting Stu Goff, who was on the channel with us
Nice bloke.
a few weeks ago. So he's obviously launched his Isle of Pelops book for Aegean, and he's going to be with us on the stand. So he's got one of the panels on the hexagon banner. So these things are like 3 meters across. So you'll see his Aegean stuff all over UK Games Expo, and he's got one of our little what we call it a pod stand. So it's about a meter square, but he's going to be there some of the time. His books and everything going to be on display all of the time. Stu's going to be with us a little bit and available to talk about the game and sign some books. We've got Chris McDowell as well of Mythic Bastionland
Yep.
fame. We're exactly the same. He's so the Mythic Bastionland thing is going to be displayed on one side of the banner. It's a massive game, Mythic Bastionland. It's just we can't get enough of it. It just keeps every time we get a decent amount in, it just goes out the door. So it's a great game. It's very, very popular, and we're really pleased that Chris is going to be with us on our stand. Again, signing books there to talk about the game and stuff. So that's fantastic. And we've also got a guy. Unfortunately, we don't have the creator because he's US based. A guy called David Lapp, but we've got Pine Box Entertainment, which is
Mm,
Doomtown,
yeah.
and they've got a demo stand and they've got a demonstrator going to be with us for quite a bit of time over the weekend as well. So if anybody fancies trying Doomtown, they can come and give that a shot. And then we've also got demo stands for lots of Wordforge games, uh, and their sort of new brand Elfling games as well. So Elfling games is bit more sort of family friendly kind of card games and things like that, quick play games.
Yeah.
Wordforge has got things like SAS, Rogue Regiment, and stuff like that. So there's going to be demo stands for all of that. We've got Johnny Hodgson with us as well.
Great. Yeah. Nice
So
artist.
yeah, he does some amazing work.
Amazing work. Yep.
You know, his artwork and his books are
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. So yeah, so Johnny's going to be with us, and yeah, we're you know busy. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Just can't wait.
But looking forward to it. It's I'll pop down, obviously say hi. I'll wear the sweatshirt so people will actually sort of know who I am. So keep an eye open for a Top Dice sweatshirt to roll around and stop by, and I'll gladly give you an autograph. I don't know what I'll sign, but just put it in front of me, and as long as it's not legal papers, I'll sign it. You know,
yeah,
made you laugh.
don't sign one of my books because my books are going to be on sale, and I've come to the conclusion actually that I sell most of my books at these shows and things like that, which means the unsigned ones are probably the rarer ones. You know, everybody says, "Oh, you know, get an autographed copy," but it's I think it's definitely people who get one that isn't signed. They're probably the ones that are a bit rarer.
Yeah,
Um, but
very, very much so. It was so I limited with mine. I limited the amount I deliberately that I actually sort of signed. So I think there's only 8 in existence of
right.
the entire
I
program.
think there's only one person that's signing a book like that benefits, and that's the person actually signing it because it makes them feel a little bit better for three
It
minutes. You
does.
know,
It really does. But with mine,
it's
what I did, I've stuck an extra rule in the front. It's a one dice game, obviously, and I stick an extra rule to give them an edge. Whoever holds the book gets to roll an extra dice once per game or whatever. So it just depends what I mean. Just something daft like that.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be coming along with Kate, my wife,
Oh, it's going to
and
be great.
we'll we'll certainly see what's going on. I've obviously come to see yourselves. The Rivers of London talk on the Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
I know a few
hopefully
people go
catching
into
that.
that. Yeah,
Um, there's a women in gaming one as well, which I might sort of take Kate to. So that's again on Saturday, I think just before lunchtime, but in one of the lecture theatres. So that could be quite interesting to sort of listen to. And it's basically, from what I can gather, it's to honour women in gaming and what they've actually achieved on the writing
fantastic.
side, etc. So
Right,
that sounds pretty good. And in the evening, we've got the Cthulhu Live event. We've got
right.
tickets for that.
Oh,
So Luke
amazing.
Gygax and co.
Yeah,
Mike Mason. There's that should be really interesting. I've played it so many times. Obviously, Cthulhu. It's probably the second most played game that I've ever got run. So it's going to be really interesting to sort of see how they do it, and
mm,
might give you some pointers about where
yeah,
I've been going wrong all these years.
yeah, yeah. Well, who says you've been going wrong if people keep playing it and you're playing it for all these years? So
Yeah,
you know,
something's
who
going right
knows?
with it.
You're a
But
lucky guy though, because here's the thing about that I find with Games Expo is people will say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to go to Games Expo." Blah blah blah. Blah. No, you don't.
no,
You don't go to games. You are at Games Expo. You don't go to Games Expo.
exactly. Yeah, you won't be wandering around and taking in
Yeah,
the sights, sounds, smells,
you
etc.
roll in. You roll. Yeah, we're going to roll in there at 8 o'clock on the Thursday morning. And we're gonna. The first thing that happens is we get faced with an articulated lorry with 20 or something pallets of stock and equipment and things like that, and that's got to be unloaded and the stand's got to be built, and you know, and then the next morning you get in at 8 o'clock, you fettle the stand up or what have you, and then at 9 o'clock it's
God,
an onslaught.
the gates open and so to
Yeah,
speak, and that's it. Let loose
that's it.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
The dogs of war.
yeah. Cry havoc and let slip the gamers of war.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
but
it. It's the way to. I'm really looking forward
so.
to it anyway.
Yeah, do you know what? The only thing that I really hope is I've seen some stuff that Chris Barry is going to be at the show. I don't know in what capacity, but I would just love to get the opportunity to meet Chris Barry. If I get out of the weekend having met Chris Barry, I'll be really happy.
Yeah.
So Chris, if you're a fan of the show, GMS
That's
stand.
it.
Come and see me and say hello, will you?
Yeah, it's.
I'll sort you out with some stuff that you probably don't want. So,
Sure you will. You see, it's. I know there's the red dwarf, but I keep thinking British Empire as well. That's the other thing. That's just he was just wonderful in that. Quite a character.
Red Dwarf all
Oh,
day,
both of them.
all
Yeah,
day.
both of them.
And his character in the Tomb Raider movies. I
Yeah,
enjoyed that character in the
that was it.
Tomb Raider
Very
movies.
British butler. Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
does it
So
so well.
yes, he does
Multi-talented.
indeed, indeed. So I'm a fan. So
Now, new releases. What we got out
new
this week?
releases, right? Let's talk about new releases. So these are not this week. These are actually first week of June. But I'm not around next week. The aforementioned decamping to Worcester, so I'm not around next week. And I'm going to talk about some stuff now that's coming out first week of June, but is also going to be available for sale at UK Games Expo.
Woohoo!
Going to be a few days early on a few things, which is great. And it's not just us, and not just GMS. There's other retailers that are going to have these things as well. So Paizo have brought forward by a month. They've brought forward the release of Hell's Destiny. So that is the second of the full
Yeah,
book adventure path, and that's in the Hellfire Crisis sort of series. So that covers. It started with the with Hellbreakers, but what I learned actually the other day is that a little bit of the sort of nucleus of that campaign arc is in Battle Cry. So, which I just thought was a core rule book, but it's
yeah.
not. Apparently,
Okay.
it starts that scenario of the Hellfire Crisis thing because a lot of it's built around sort of large scale combat and war basically. So Hell's Destiny is 10th to 20th level, and
Wow.
it completes that story arc. And again, it's with Paizo's new format with the arcs with the adventure paths, where instead of it being a book released each month over 3 months, it's one book with the whole thing in it. And it's a little bit cheaper, and it's a hardback book for your
Yeah.
shelf, so it's a bit more durable than the old paperbacks. But it's got all of the same kind of content. So that's Hell's Destiny, which is great. And then the other Paizo releases are flip mats. There's Wilderness Camps, and there is the Vast Worlds multipack for Starfinder, which gives a lot of different kind of alien basic terrains, but alien. So that's useful, particularly if you've got a dry wipe marker, you can put one of those out, put whatever you want on. So that's a multi-packs, 4 maps for 30 quid, or four sides that
Yeah.
you can sort of do what you want on that. Now, not releasing at UK Games Expo for Paizo, but which we thought would, excuse me, is Pathfinder Quest board game.
Yeah.
We're really excited about it, and believe it or not, we do actually have stock, but it's not being officially released until July the 1st.
Fair enough.
But but
Embargoed.
but we will have a
Demo
display
copy.
copy.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
won't have a demo copy. We will have a display
Display
copy.
copy. Fair enough.
But Paizo, our good friends from Paizo, will have demo copies of Pathfinder Quest, and they're in Hall 3A, I think it is. So they're a little bit further away from us this year than they were last year, but they will have demo copies. And all I'm going to say is, if you're a fan of Paizo stuff, go and speak nicely to them before you come and visit us. um, so that's Paizo, and then but Free League have been amazing, absolutely amazing with us, because they've got some stuff that's coming out. So they've got two releases for Blade Runner, which come out on the 26th, so just before the show.
Yeah.
And that is a Replicant Rebellion campaign set, and then they've got a kind of what do you call it? It's like an asset box, but it also includes solo play rules for Blade Runner. That comes out just before the show, so we're going to have some of those.
Hmm.
But Free League have given us permission to sell some of the Lord of the Rings slash One Ring products, which are scheduled for release on the 2nd of June.
That's a nice
Um,
little, yep, brilliant.
so Free League are there themselves, obviously in reasonable force as they always are. Um, but we've got so there's Hands of the White Wizard slash Trials of Saruman, which are it's the same book. It's an adventure anthology, all based around Saruman prior to the War of the Ring. And let me see if I'm going to make sure that I get this the right way round. Um, so Hands of the White Wizard is for the One Ring, and Trials
Yeah,
of Saruman is for Lord of the Rings role playing, which is the 5e1 set.
5A1. Yeah,
So, but they are essentially they're the same adventures. So they've got that, and then there's Hobbit Tales, which is all of the adventures centered around the Shire and the Hobbits that were in the first starter set for the One Ring
yeah,
have been sort of lifted from that and put into a little adventure anthology. So that's what so that's going to be available. And then the other one, which is a brand new release, is Frontier Scum from Free League, but it's one of these that's come through one of the independent publishers that Free League
yeah.
also work with. And I was chatting with our warehouse manager today, and he said, what's Frontier Scum? What's that all about?" And the best way that I can describe it is it's Tales of the Old West, which has won an award at UK Games Expo. It's Tales of the Old West crossed with Morkborg.
Fair enough.
So
That
um,
was
it,
yeah,
it's really rules light. Obviously, Tales of the Old West is the Year Zero engine game, and has won the Judge's Choice Role Playing Game of the Year award at UK Games Expo. So that's great that we distribute for the Effect Publishing guys, Dave and Matthew, lovely
yeah,
guys. So yeah, Frontier Scum is cowboys. Well, I think it's more outlaw sort of style in the West,
yeah.
rather than the good guys, and that's going to be there as well. So loads and loads of new stuff. We've also got new releases on going to be available at GMS. New releases from Wordforge Games and Nightfall Games, including new stuff for the Hellboy role playing game as well.
Okay,
So
that's quite a substantial amount of stuff you'll have there then.
yeah, and that's just us. So again, fans of the channel will remember George coming on a little
Oh
while
yeah,
ago from Three Sales Studios. So they've got Gallows Corner, which is releasing at the show. So, or hoping that all goes well for them.
I'm sure it will. I think the way George actually was, he'll make sure it goes well, and it's an impressive book that he's got there as well.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
he's I can tell he's very meticulous on that front, so that should be a surefire winner for him.
Yeah.
Um, and
Hope so.
I believe you've got Chaosium standing next to GMS as well, so they'll be basking in your glory.
we, we have a mutual attraction matrix. So
Yes,
yes.
that's where it's well, it's just a couple of new releases that are coming through from them. You see, I don't think they're going to be at the show. I think it's a bit too early. We've got the Pendragon Nobles book.
Right.
Now, Pendragon really seems to have gained some traction since its re-release because I didn't think it would actually sort of see the light of day again as such after the last iteration, and not with any great differences. So I've been very impressed with the latest version of it. I just want to make sure that they release the big campaign book, the Great Pendragon campaign at some time. That would be just absolutely stunning. But they've got the Nobles book coming out. Rivers of London has got a book called Underground Overground coming out, which I just
Right.
think of Wombles. But I don't think any Wombles will have been harmed in the creation of said book. Uh, for those that do remember Wombles, I think that's very much a 70s and 80s thing, that isn't it?
Mm.
But yeah, that's a collection of scenarios, and one that is out there at the moment, the Call of Cthulhu Campfire Tales, which I think was an absolute classic idea of bringing younger characters
Mm.
into the Call of Cthulhu sort of fold, where you've got
Yeah.
scouts going out on missions against
Hmm.
the minions of Cthulhu. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's so many
But,
people who bought that.
well, I mean, when you've got things like Stranger Things,
Perfect, isn't it?
it's exactly that. And then with Savage Worlds, you've got ETU
Yeah,
and Pine Box Middle School, Monster Hunters Club. There's a host of games in that. There's another one that's it's basically Scooby Doo with the serial numbers filed off, but for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. But oh yeah, yeah, it's a good genre, isn't it? I'm
it
playing
is.
ETU at the moment, playing East Texas University right now, and it's just one of the most fun campaigns I've ever played. It's great. It's really, really good. It's just, I think what I like about it is that it's so different. You know, you've played fantasy and you've played sci-fi and you've played apocalyptic and da, 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 and then all of a sudden this thing comes along and I just gave it allowed me to kind of stretch my role-playing muscles and
Yes,
just to play something different. It's great.
it's
Really enjoyed it.
a good, interesting setting. I think that, and
Hmm.
it fits in again. Stranger Things, Buffy, anything along those lines. It
Yeah.
just fits in very, very well.
And of
So,
course, our friends at Pinnacle are running a Kickstarter at the moment for the updated
yeah,
version of East Texas University, for which I
they
was
are.
totally underprepared for, as in to mention it here. But go find it if you're into Savage Worlds and that kind of thing
I'll see if I can put
floats
a
your boat.
link in
It's
the
worth going and
description
having a look at.
of this
Yeah, yeah.
video, so it's actually there. But I've been watching that. It's doing all right. Is that not too bad? They always sort of throw everything into the Kickstarters and crowdfunders anyway. Do Pinnacle? That's got to
Yeah,
be said.
yeah.
And you
Well, you
usually
don't need
get
to tell me that. We,
oh, yeah, and you get loads of bells and whistles usually with them as well that you don't
yeah.
get anywhere else. And that's one of the
Mhm,
things I really do like. It's anything from like a special dice to special laminated or shiny cards, anything along those lines. It's
mhm.
just adds a bit of flair to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
kind of a nod and a thank you. Well, you're helping this get out there, so there's a thank you to you for doing that.
Hmm.
I wouldn't sort of say in many cases that they're collectors things, but there's certainly things that people who get them really do enjoy having and showing at the table.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, it's
bonus all round.
yeah, it's where we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? About the little like having little cards and things like that, and just having those little play aids and things at the table. I think it's great, and
It helps.
that's one of the things that Pinnacle do really,
Yeah,
really well. If something happens to your character that needs rules, don't go in the book. I've got this card. There you go.
have a read.
When that condition finishes, give me the card back,
Yeah,
and then it's easy, and then the game just moves on, doesn't it? So,
it does.
and that, like I said, that's one of the things I think Pinnacle are superb at.
Yeah, they very much so. It was D&D kind of started it back in the day. Briefly, they tried to with the spell cards in the AD&D era,
Mm,
and then it was Paizo and Pathfinder that, as we mentioned before, that jumped onto this, and
yeah.
they got it right with all the. There you go. There's your magic weapon. Bang. There's the card with all the details on. There's the magic potion. Whatever. You don't know what it does, but that's what it looks like, and you can flip the card over and it'll tell you what it's once you've drunk it
Hmm.
or sniffed it, whatever you do with it. So that's again works very very well. Yeah, I'm surprised more games don't actually incorporate cards. I know there's quite a few that have done of late, but it really is a great little play aid. And I would sort of argue it's a great little resource that the GMs, DMs would pay for just to make their life easier.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
considering it's a bit better than the online subscription stuff that seems to be sort of going on recently.
Oh, good segue, sir. Well played.
There you go, bang. Did you like what I did there?
I saw what you did there. Yeah, yeah. So, I'll go on then. I'll pick it up then.
Go
So,
on.
Dungeons and Dragons as a service,
Mm.
yes or no?
It's difficult. It really, really is. As you know, I really like D&D. I know you're not a huge sort of fanboy like myself, but I do enjoy it. It's what I grew up with. gone through all the iterations. Yes, I even bought fourth edition. So, that kind of sort of says everything about me. I do really like the new version. You've got to take it as it stands. It's a basic vanilla system that you can add to and add to quite easily. It's level based, not everybody's thing, but a subscription service for online, is that really the right way? That's the question. I would argue it's virtual, so you've got to keep on paying. The second you stop paying, what happens? It goes. You've invested all this money and it's not there. Also, if your electronic gadget isn't working, it's not as if you can pull it off the shelf and read it, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I mean, for me, so D&D is. I'm not. I can't say I'm not a fan of D&D, and the reason I can't say I'm not a fan of D&D is that I haven't played it since the 3.5. I've just played other things,
Yeah.
but there are so many people that play and love D&D, that if the chances are it's me that's wrong and not them. I'm not saying that D&D is a bad game. Absolutely not saying that D&D is a bad game. I just play other things. So,
And I'm glad
um,
people do because I think it improves everything all around.
oh, without a shadow of a
Innovation.
doubt.
Yeah.
But then I'm with you in that if you're going to invest your money into a game, if you one day decide that's not for me anymore or whatever, then you've got
Exactly.
absolutely nothing, and then you're looking down the barrel of potentially having nothing to show for that money.
Yeah.
Now, it may be wrong, but I was watching a news video the other day, about this, and it's they kind of made a good point in that younger players, people who are just getting into it now, they know no different. Everything's a subscription.
Yeah.
you know, your gym, your Netflix, you could get coffee by subscription and all kinds of things. So people who know no different. Whereas our generation, and dare I say, plenty that have followed us, I'm going to reach up here and, we've got a player's handbook. So if I want to make a character, I pick up a bunch of dice and I roll a character.
Yeah.
Um, I don't go clicking and what have you. It, but that's me. I'm an old
Yeah.
grognard.
It,
But I've
this,
always got that book for as long as I want it. I've got that book, and that's to me. That's where I think the monetization of it from a big corporation is starting to. That's where it's starting to sort of really interfere, and
mm,
that's my personal view. Now, I work with plenty of people who produce third-party content for 5e, and they produce amazing products. Look at Loot Tavern, look at the aforementioned Johnny Hodgson. There's plenty of people that we work with that
yeah.
do really good third-party
Exactly. His Bowo
content.
was absolutely spot on.
Yeah, how's this going to how's this going to affect
Yeah.
those guys?
It, I would sort of say it not in a good way because it's if all your books are virtual, your main core rule books, and an organization or company is producing third party material that you need the main books to actually sort of use, you might enjoy, for example, we'll take the Beowulf game for argument's sake that
Hmm.
John Hodgson illustrated, etc. And that's a great two-player game, and that's the way it's actually organized.
Yeah,
But you really need to sort of be referring it. It's got just about everything, but you still need, I would argue, bits from D&D to actually fully utilize that game. Um, Even if it's sort of up in your head, it just sort of it just doesn't sit well that someone can release a source book, etc., and it's great. Yet whether it's all about Phalanx, taverns, whatever, and you can use it with your D&D game, nice physical product, and then the poor sod who has got the virtual library all of a sudden misses a payment. might be for, and all of a sudden he's lost access to his her games for a week, month, whatever, until the subscription continues. And there is nothing there. There's no recourse or anything. And obviously, those books can be deleted, removed at any time because that's
Yeah.
usually part of the license agreements of the subscription. Um, so anything could be changed at any time by the subscription organizing company, so Wizards of the Coast in this instance.
Hmm.
I like physical games. Do they take up a lot of room, and I know full well because I've got shelf fulls behind me,
Yeah.
and I'm cutting back
Same.
now. But at the same time, I really don't like the idea of just having everything sat on a computer and looking at a computer screen all day. Last thing I want to do, here I am using a computer screen. Last thing I want
Hmm.
to do is to stare at a computer screen all night through a game. I find it very distracting if I'm in
Yeah.
a game.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got like PDFs of games, PDFs of game books on my iPad.
Yeah,
And if I'm on a train or if I'm going on holiday or whatever, I'm just
handy.
not
Yeah,
not at home, then it's handy. And but I don't even use actually not strictly true. I don't use my iPad or whatever or a laptop at the table when I'm running a game. But I have had my iPad at the table playing Traveller because it's kind of thematic and you have travellermap.com up and you can
yeah,
zoom in and you can get details on a particular world or whatever and it's thematic.
equipment.
And I've
Yeah,
also used sound pads and things like that for atmospheric music and stuff when I'm running a game, but I don't run the game
it's
from an
not the
electronic device.
center. Yeah,
But again, that's me.
yeah,
Everybody has got their own way of doing
that's it.
things.
There's no right or wrong way, basically.
There is no right or wrong way, and but I think the D&D subscription thing. I honestly think that that's got a real chance of biting Wizards on the backside.
Yeah,
The people who I feel most for are the third party
yeah,
content
that's same.
providers at the moment. I'd love to understand what people who watch this video are, what their thoughts are, because there's going to be plenty of D&D players out there, and I'd love to know what they think and how do they think things are going to go. And if you're a third-party content creator, again, I'd love to know how you think that this might affect you and your business or your work, um, or come on and talk about it. That is
Either way,
something
yeah,
that to me that is kind of what this channel's for, really. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months. I'll tell you what's going to be a big barometer, and I'm going back to the beginning, UK Games Expo,
yes,
because I think it's going to be interesting to see who comes to have a look at Castles and Crusades, or Pathfinder, or Savage Worlds, or the One Ring, or all of these alternate amazing fantasy role-playing games that are out there that aren't D&D. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens at the show, what people are
yeah,
looking at, buying and talking about. And that is,
exactly.
I think that's going to be a big barometer as to how things are going to go forward.
Well, we've got Daggerheart, which seems to be
Yeah.
doing very, very well in the States. And Shadow Dark as well, which seems
Shadow
to
Dark.
be
Yeah.
again over in the US very, very popular. It's been difficult, I think, to get over here, so it's caused a bit of an issue with the obtaining and playing. It's been quite priced out, I think, in many cases of the of many people's ranges. And also you've got the Cosmere, the
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson
Hmm.
game, which I think just before Christmas, I think it was number two in the most asked for, most wanted games.
Right.
So I know he did very well at Kickstarter. That I don't know the world, and I'm trying to go for more vanilla game systems where people don't need to know the world. I think that's the best way to sort of put it.
Hmm.
It makes it easier to introduce games to
Yeah.
people, I
Yeah.
think. If you're heavily invested in Lord of the Rings, for example, then yeah, the Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth it's absolutely great. Many people do, but a lot of the other fantasy games that come out, And I'm going to include RuneQuest in this, actually. You've really got to know the lore to actually really jump in a game with it because a lot of
Yeah,
the
I was a bit.
people, it's a bit of a, it's one of the things that's always caused me a few issues with RuneQuest specifically, the lore side of things where it's so in depth. Um, and there's other games like that. And interesting enough, Castles and Crusades, D&D you can do your own stuff with. Tunnels and Trolls you can do your own. There's a whole host of really good games out there that you can do your own thing, and that's
Mhm.
what I actually sort of love about it. And when I said about D&D being very vanilla, that's why I like it. You don't need to use any of the
Yeah, yeah.
set worlds. It
Mm,
it can be just plain basic D&D, but I run so many other different things as well.
yeah.
Um,
So
D&D is
I
just a
think
great way of saying I role play.
I think what I would say to conclude really from my side of things on the whole subscription thing is, if I could speak to the person in charge at Hasbro, I would say to them, don't stop making the rule book.
No,
Have
that
your
will be
subscription, have your subscription, but don't stop making the rule books.
definitely.
Um,
And I wouldn't be buying into a subscription as much as I like D&D. If it did go purely that way, then I wouldn't be buying into it.
I think a lot of people will change
Yeah,
if it does go that way.
yeah.
A lot of people, I think, will change.
And it's
And that's not to say
Pathfinder,
that I
Castles
want
and
it to happen.
Crusades. Yeah, they'll be the winners.
Yeah, there's far too many people out there whose livelihoods depend on. You only have to look at what happened with OGL. So many people out there whose livelihoods depend on what D&D does because they produce third-party content.
Yeah,
So and really good third-party content at that as well.
I would sort of say far superior in many cases too. There was the Coast content.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Um, it's sitting back looking at it. There's some great Wizard of the Coast stuff out there, but there's a lot of absolutely amazing third party stuff out there as well that
Hmm.
really adds value, I think, to it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about D&D. And I know it's got its detractors, but there's so much that can be brought to that table with that game and with other games.
Mhm.
Castles and Crusades, as you know, is another favourite. Pathfinder, I've enjoyed over the years. Again, Tunnels and Trolls. There's so many different games that I've actually enjoyed. Mammoth and Magic, there you go. There's a blast from the past. Harn, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Harn.
yeah,
Hey,
it's
Harn
years
is
since I
making a
played that.
comeback. Harn is
It's
making a
years since I
comeback.
played that. Rolemaster, yeah, they're
Also making a comeback.
yes,
We've been speaking to the guys who are Iron Crown Enterprises and who own all of the IP stuff for Rollmaster, and we've had some very interesting conversations with them about going to proper print with the books because they've had the books floating around for a while, but they've always been print on demand. But they're now looking at proper print runs and a proper kind of relaunch of Rollmaster. So
about
watch this
time.
space. Yeah.
About time, definitely. It's and there was what was the cut down version of Rolemaster called? There was another one, wasn't it, that they actually did another
Ooh.
fancy game. I'd
You're
have
not
to look.
thinking of the you're not thinking of MERP, are you?
No, no, Merp was obviously they would never get Merp up and running again. But there was another fantasy game they did, which was um,
Was it Against the Dark Master?
nope, that was a third party content, which was basically very similar to obviously the Middle Earth one.
Yeah,
It'll come to me. I'll find it out for the next time. I'll jump out at UK Games Expo and go, Al, it's this.
right. Instead of hello,
That's it. And get me carted away by security. There we go. Right. Well,
uh,
anyway,
anyway, so
that's
there
it.
we go.
We'll call it an evening now. So it's not a day;
Yeah.
it's an evening here. I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing you there. I'm looking forward to seeing anyone else there. So if you're going to Games Expo, if you see me wandering around on Saturday, please say hi. That's uh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Quite a few
Um,
viewers, I think, will be. we'll be heading that way.
And similarly, I'll be there on the GMS stand. Not going to UK Games Expo, just there.
Attending, yeah, she'll be attending, not going.
But everybody's welcome. Come and say hello. Come and see what we've got.
Yeah, I was pleased to hear that you've got Pine Box actually there as well. I want to have a look and see what 7C stuff they've got. So if they do it as
Yeah, do you
well.
know what? We've actually only got the base game for the card game. But Chaosium, just over from us, they've got the new role-playing game stuff, I believe.
There we go. Sorted. Bring it on. Right, and on that note, it's going to be goodbye from you for a couple of weeks.
It's going to be goodbye from me for a couple of weeks, indeed.
That's it. We'll rejoin the week after Expo, and we'll talk about what we found. Oh, the other thing I'll actually do is I'll do some videos whilst I'm actually sort of there, and I'll probably just do some live broadcasts on the channel as well.
I'm
And I know
planning on doing a few videos as well, and I'm still trying to figure out if I can get my iPhone to do time lapse photography, because I know I can do it with, I've got a digital SLR, and I know I can do it with that, but I really don't want to cart all of that stuff down there.
You'll have it, and also keeping your eye on it as well. That's not. I have to see him get that done, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've got my trusty selfie stick, so there'll be a few videos.
Fantastic.
And people can keep up with us, and yeah, we'd love.
I'll get them shared on Top Dice as well, so it'll all be good. So watch this space. It's going to be quite a weekend, and yeah, really looking forward to it. So thank you very much, and thanks for joining me again.
No worries, everybody. Happy gaming.
Right. Happy gaming. Keep rolling those dice. See you soon.